Old guy tried to kidnap Mehi everyone. First time posting, so I'll try to make as much sense of this as possible. I think I was around 10 years old when me and my buddies decided to go out and have a good time. Back in those days, kids all around used to make these poor man's airsoft weapons out of plastic tubes and rubber gloves and use dry peas as ammo. So anyways, we went out and had a blast shooting at each other. And at some point me and my teammate realized that few of our buddies have been gone quite a long time, but we had a general idea where they went. So we started to head towards them. As soon as we arrived to general area where we thought they would be, our buddies run fast off yelling, "Run you guys. There's this crazy old guy coming with a van coming." So I was little confused at this time and watched as my buddies ran off nowhere to be seen, and at this point I see that van coming and I panic and start running like hell. This guy catches me pretty quick, almost running me over with his van and yelling that if I move an inch he will end me. He gets a hold of me and starts dragging me to back of his van as I scream for help. When I'm almost inside of this guy's van, this guy, maybe in his 20s, a long guy with heavy metal outfit, yells to this bastard, "Leave the kid alone or I will kill you where you stand." This guy turns around and at the same time this 20 or so guy drops him with a single punch and keeps on beating him while telling me to run to my parents. My dad tried to find the guy who literally saved my life to thank him and reward him, but only found a puddle of blood where this happened. He came to see me every single day. I usually get over creepy encounters fairly quickly, but this one was quite different from the rest. I go by the rule, be nice to everyone because you never know who could be a secret serial killer, and that has worked out well for me the majority of the time, although this time it was probably what got me into that situation. When I was 18, I worked as a lifeguard by a small pool, nothing fancy. I was basically just a babysitter to all ages. When adults got bored looking after their kids, they sometimes sought me out, for some reason, to have a free therapy session. Mothers and fathers talking about their hardships. I know I worked as a lifeguard, but I can't save that kind of life. One day a 50-year-old man with his 2 kids came to the pool, as many other people did. He went up to me and we started talking. It started with some small talk, like how he didn't let his children eat ketchup because it has the properties to remove even rust from metals, but as the hours went by he started talking badly about one of his kids, how she was overweight, had anger issues and was worried about blows when no one would ever look at her. I'm not gonna lie, the last statement made me go quiet and I tried to somewhat reason with him to not speak like that about his daughter. He seemed to listen to what I had to say, so I was happy that I could possibly help his kid in some way. Having a parent like that would have given anyone a hard time. The next day he came back, extremely happy, telling me that I was so good with kids, because my talk had apparently helped him. He then began the day by trash-talking his ex-wife to oblivion, like how she had the most custody over their kids, and that the kids only ate fast food at her house. I didn't say much because I felt like it wasn't my place to speak and I didn't want to create unnecessary drama at my workplace. But what set the first red flag in motion was, in the conversation, suddenly shifted into him wanting a young wife. It was as if he had tried to trash talk his ex to get me to understand he was single and interested in a relationship with me. The days went by and he continued to visit the pool every day. To some extent, I had the feeling that he now came every day just to see me. I was fairly creeped out by this thought, so I tried to ignore it and just do my work. As the days passed, he started asking more and more personal questions, like, where do you usually go grocery shopping? And is there a cafe close to where you live? As I was fairly sure he was trying to figure out where I lived, I kindly deflected all of his questions with something very obscure. During my last work week, I had an afternoon shift. I asked my colleague, who at the morning shift, if anything had happened that day that I should be aware of. He told me that they had to ban a man from entering the pool area because he had reached behind the counter at the small pool shop where the workers keep their personal things. Apparently, he had been denied by my coworker to get a look at our work calendar, so he had tried to get a glance at it in a more illegal manner. That last week I saw him twice at the end of my shifts, standing near the pool entrance. The second time I saw him there, I reported him to the pool security guards. And after that, I never saw him again. So, I hope we never meet again, you creep. Black car in London. This happened years ago, when I was barely 14. My middle school and middle school of my best friend. At a time organized trip abroad to Great Britain. London to be exact. It's supposed to be a few days looking at London attractions, museums and shops. It was fun. Until it wasn't. For the day before we supposed to leave and go home, we were brought to the streets, with some interesting shops. From there we could see Golden Freddy. And we received free time for shopping. And then our teachers and guide had a brilliant idea. They told us after the time for shopping ends we have to meet at different street than this. In retrospect it was like 100 meters away, but they still should do that. Most of us never been in London. We are barely speaking English. We don't have a map of the city. Roaming services don't work correctly. 90% of students got lost. I got lost with my best friend because we went in complete opposite direction. We were both confused about the directions we were given. We were walking along pavement. My friend was running ahead or staying behind to nervously look around. We didn't look like we were together, because we were not interacting with each other. I guess that's why this happened. My friend ran ahead and stopped to look around. When I saw a black car approach me and match my speed, I started to feel like this is a scene from a movie. It was broad daylight. There was a lot people around and no one reacted. I was confused and didn't know what is happening. Then from the car stepped a man and said, "You are nice. Come with me," and then tried to grab me. The car was still running, so I suppose someone was still in it. I was stunned. I did not believe it was real. At that moment my friend ran to me from behind, grabbed me and dragged me away. We ran and tried to lose tail if a man or car followed us. After some time we stopped and my friend nervously cried, shaking me and screaming, "Why didn't move?" when the man tried to catch me. I explained my deer in headlights moment. We cooled down and managed to ask someone people for help, and we were found by our teachers. We didn't told anyone there what happened. We were sure noon would believe us. After that, when we got back I told my parents and I never went on a trip organized by my school. My mom considered all of that really unprofessional and irresponsible. Quick mapping for years, I didn't even remember this happened. I just blocked it from my memory. I'm not exactly sure of my age when this happened, but I believe I was around 4 to 5 years old. It was morning. My mom and I went to a pharmacy a couple blocks away from our home. As soon as she was getting back in the car, a man approached her from behind and pulled her to act as if she knew him and to sit in the passenger seat. She noticed he had a gun, so she complied. He sat in the driver's seat and drove. During the whole way, my mom tried to calm me down, telling me he was a friend and needed a ride. While I sat in silence, he drove us to a road, where he got out of the car, stole the money my mom had with her and told her not to call the police. After that, she just drove us back home. Masked people in the woods. This is around 2017, in spring or fall. I was 19 at the time, and I live in Germany. Me and my friends used to hang out at a friend's basement, smoke the good stuff and play video games or watch movies until late at night. My best friend at the time lived just a couple houses down the street from where I lived, and usually it was the two of us riding our bikes back home. There was two routes we used to get home. One through the city or the other significantly shorter one through a small forest, maybe 1 kilometer. Completely dark but proper forest road. That route made a 90-degree turn to cross some rails and a major lit highway via a bridge. We only took that route when we were equipped with lights and in a group of at least 2 people, because there were a lot of boars. And you don't want to be on your own in case something happens. So one night we set out to ride home, both quite stoned and maybe a couple beers in, but not off the deep end. As we got close to that 90-degree turn, where the road heads up the bridge, my friend who was riding in front suddenly brakes, because there was a relatively large tree laying across the road. We both took our bikes and lifted them over the tree and continued. Maybe 10 to 20 meters later we suddenly spot a fire on the side, right at the junction where we had to make our turn, just the size of a small campfire. We both got a little slower, as we saw the fire, and then, when getting closer, we spotted 6 or 7 people around the fire forming a semicircle all facing us. All of them were wearing long white dresses or gowns with masks. Not kluklux like masks, but rather like a sailor's hat with veils. A couple of seconds went by. We were just staring at them, and I guess they were staring at us. Then one of them moved towards us and we started to sprint away towards the bridge on our bikes. And didn't stop until we were on a well-lit road again. That's been the craziest stories among me or my friends ever since. But please people, let's not meet again. Please excuse any errors and the horrendous formatting. I am on mobile and trying my best. Stalker for over 10 years. Stalker for over 10 years. This happened in the late 90s. I Catherine F43 and my friend Rose F40 to met him together. My stalker was a guy Rose. And I met on the bus one day coming home from my volunteer work, after school, as a candy striper. At the local hospital, we were on the bus going home laughing and talking. And this guy just randomly sits by us and starts talking. He tells us his name and we laugh. Thinking he said his name was Gay. Yeah, stupid teenage girls. He corrected us and said his name was Jay. We talked a bit more and innocently gave him our names and he asked for my number, but I said no. He was like 7 years older and kinda strange. The more we talked to him, he got annoyed the whatever, right, so we thought that was that. A few days, maybe a week later, me and the same friend run into Jay while switching buses downtown. I was going to her house like I did a few times a week. When we run into him, he asked for me to hang out and watch him play hockey that night. I said no. I was going to my friends. He got weirdly annoyed and kept trying and begging me, telling me about how much fun it would be and trying to get me away from my friend. He really didn't want her to come to this hockey game either, just wanted it to be us. So weird. Our bus finally came and we got out of there fast. Over the next few weeks I kept running into him downtown L. It was like he knew my schedule. And every time I tried to be nice, but get away as fast as I could. And every time he would get annoyed because I wouldn't hang out. A few weeks pass and I'm at school and in walks Jay. I was so mad and frustrated and I snap on him. Why was her here and how did he know what school I went to? Did he follow me on the city bus? He tried saying that he was there to see his friends, but he wasn't with anyone, just a 25-year-old guy, wandering around a high school. After that I would randomly see him on my bus and he would always try to sit across from me and watch. He would still ask for us to hang out and I would still say no. As time went on he would still find me on the bus and sit across from me with who I guessed was his girlfriend or a girl he was trying to make me jealous with. He would look at me while making out with her. He would do everything he could to make me feel uncomfortable. I would either turn up my music and do my best to ignore him, or move to another spot. Nothing ever seemed to deter him. He never did anything bad enough to call the police. But he knew it was wrong and he knew it bothered me and he knew I would have a panic attack. And I'm sure he got off on that. As the years went on, I would see less and less of him. He would randomly pop up and make me uncomfortable. He started standing really close to me and trying to talk. I would have a panic attack and do my best to ignore him. I would still walk away and he would just get more pushy. Every time I would run into him, I text my friend that was there when we first ran into him and get her to calm me down. It's now 2023, so 24-ish years since it all started. And I haven't seen him in the last maybe 8+ years and I'm just praying that I never see him again. I'm 43, so he must be going on 50 and I'm still scared to run into him. I have thought I saw him a few times and panicked. But it wasn't him. I hope I never see him again. Thanks for reading. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe.